Hello Paisanos, it's Ian63, and I finally just have finished playing through Mega Man X Regenesis, and all I can say, this Mega Man X Fangame was an overall, if I had to be honest, an 8 out of 10, honestly. I'll get to that after when I showcase my entire Let's Play gameplay footage, but yeah, the Mega Man X Regenesis, obviously, here it was, back when the teaser trailer was announced. I was really excited. And obviously, we got the update and release window. And finally, the release date trailer. And now it was available and stuff. With all, the music and stuff here. And yeah, when the game launched and stuff, I was excited. I was looking forward to it and stuff. Also, nice Twitter box art here. I really like this. And stuff like that. And of course, as I said, in my comment right here, finally it's out and stuff. And yeah, I was really excited to play it and stuff. And I did. And I enjoyed it, but I wasn't expecting to give it like a 10 out of 10, honestly. I gave it an 8 out of 10, and I enjoyed it, but I felt a bit disappointed with it, honestly, and you'll find out why. But anyways, let's go ahead and explain why and stuff. Obviously, this game is free, by the way, which makes it amazing and stuff. And yeah, so feel free, you guys can go play it if you want and stuff right now. But yeah, let's go ahead and explain it with my gameplay footage and stuff. So here we go and stuff. Let's begin. So, Mega Man X Regenesis Part 1... And yeah, let's begin. First off, we start off with hey, I'm gonna zoom out here if you guys can see it. Yeah. Inspired by, of course, Capcom, obviously, Mega Man, and obviously we start off with a post-apocalyptic, well, this is Project Genesis and stuff. So yeah, this takes place in an alternate timeline and stuff where X has fallen and Sigma has won. So now Dr. Kane installs the Regenesis program to bring him back and stuff for one final chance to save humanity. And yeah, it kind of lags here and stuff. But yeah, pretty much. And then after that, also I really like this intro. Like, it's really badass. I mean, I guess it makes sense since it's Genesis. They use the Sega Genesis sound font. Though it is kind of inappropriate since this is Super Nintendo, not Sega Genesis. But whatever. And yeah, and I switched the difficulty to obviously Rookie, and you're gonna understand why I did, because this is gonna be the first issue and why I gave this game an 8 out of 10 and stuff, but yeah. But anyways, Mega Man X Regenesis, we begin. What happened? And yeah, this takes place after the original Mega Man X for Super Nintendo, and Mega Man X is back online, and yeah. And so far, yeah, the game is really amazing. It starts off with this, amazing central highway and stuff. And yeah, it's really amazing. I enjoyed it and stuff. And yeah, so after going through the central highway, being a much more darker version and stuff, basically an alternate timeline where now X has fallen, Sigma has won. We fight Vile and stuff again. And yeah, pretty much. And then, unlike this, well, we don't have to beat Vile and stuff, but since Zero's no longer here, since I assume he died and stuff, this doesn't take, since, this takes place in the bad timeline and stuff, and yeah. Unlike in the regular timeline where X2, where Zero was back, and yeah. And then, finally, after Vile and stuff, we finally get to our 8 Maverick selection. Basically inspired by the SNES trilogy of this, and I'm really glad they went with that, because, and yeah. And now, yeah, that was part 1 and stuff. The intro stage and stuff like that. So now, moving on to part 2. I love this intro, by the way. And yeah. So now, our first Maverick we go through is Sandy Cheeks. No, I'm just kidding. Skyblade Squirrel and stuff. First time I saw a Squirrel Maverick, and taking place in the sky. Odd combination, but it works. And so far, this music is really good, honestly. I've been really enjoying it, honestly. And yeah. And yeah, of course, the controls are like Super Nintendo and stuff. The Mega Man X trilogy, X1, X2, X3. Mixing with the PS1 trilogy, X4, X5, and X6. And yeah. But anyways, yeah, we pretty much go through the stage and stuff. Now, this is where my first issue of the game comes in. X is a lot more snappier and faster and more high speed here, but the level design doesn't really make use of it that much. They should have went for more of like, instead of the typical regular blocking 2D platforming and stuff, they should have go for more like momentum, velocity 2D platforming like, Ninja Gaiden, Sonic the Hedgehog, Shinobi, Spark the Electric Jester, Freedom Planet, and Gravity Circuit. And also Katana Zero and stuff. And yeah, and Celeste and Pizza Tower. But yeah, and Gravity Circuit. They should have went for that and stuff. But yeah, we defeat the Skyblade Squirrel and stuff. And yeah, so far very easy and stuff. And yeah. Basically Storm Eagle and stuff. And Storm Owl and yeah. And after being the Skyblade Squirrel, we obtain Wind Torrent. And yeah. And with that, that was part 2. Now we move on to part 3. And next Maverick we do is Subterra Scorpion. Get over here. And yeah, reminds me of Commando Man from Mega Man 10 and stuff. And yeah, pretty much. I like the sunset. It's like Tomahawk from Mega Man 6. And yeah, now we're about to fight him and stuff. We to the Wind Torrent and stuff. And yeah. And then once we defeated Subterra Scorpion, we obtain his weapon, Sand Spreader. And yeah. And that was part 3. And we move on to part 4. Which is Tundra Bear, Chill Penguin, Blizzard Buffalo, Frost Wireless, Blizzard Wolfang, and Avalanche Yeti. Okay, maybe not Avalanche Yeti and stuff, because there's no, like, bike section and stuff, but yeah. Snow Stage, like always, and stuff. You know, I say this kind of feels more like Shellmare from Mega Man 10, honestly. And yeah. And here is the boss fight. Week 2, of course, the Sand Spreader that we have. And yeah. And finally, we defeated Tundra Bear. And with that, we obtain Cryo Shard, which is basically just the shotgun ice from Mega Man X. And yeah. And with that, that's part 4, and we move on to part 5. And yeah, oh yeah, I need to tell one more thing. But this actually has like a 2 weakness chain and not a 1 weakness chain loop. It's like in Mega Man 3, well that was like, you know, 3-man weakness change and the 5-man weakness chain. So here it's the same thing. It has 4 divided weakness chain. Actually, it's like Mega Man 8 actually and stuff, and yeah. But yeah. Anyway, so we kind of go out of order weakness change. We go through out of order, but yeah. And the next Maverick we fight is Bug Snapper. Bog Snapper. I'm going to call him Bug Snapper because Bog just sounds weird. But yeah. And then, of course, we go through this. Yeah, this stage gave me a lot of trouble, but yeah. But this is going to be my first part where I'm going to say that the difficulty of this video game isn't really good. I'm sorry. It does, since Mega Man X is like very high speed and fast, the level design is too blocky and clumsy and very cramped. It should be more open, more like wider and stuff, and yeah. And it led to too many unfair deaths that didn't really feel like it was my fault, honestly, and yeah. I still think it was still some skill issue here and there and stuff. But I've been playing Mega Man X for a while now, and even X6, like, didn't even give this level of difficulty, in my opinion. Okay, maybe that might be over-exaggerating, because X6 was hard, but at least the movement and the rooms and the stages were big enough for X. Here, this was, like, yeah, really hard and stuff. But with that said, we beat it, you know, Bug Snapper and stuff, and we obtain his weapon, that being Boulder Bouncer. Chris Redfield Boulder meme. And that was part 5, and we move on to part 6. And the next Maverick we go through is Stellar Primate. Kind of reminds me of Andros from Star Fox mixed with Spark Mandrill, and yeah. And this stage, actually, it reminds me of, it's like another 2D platformer indie video game in my opinion. That was inspired by both Mega Man X, Shinobi, Hagen, and Metroid. That being Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. But unlike this game, that game was actually fun. The difficulty was fair. The moveset was fun, and the levels complemented the moveset very well. It's a good example why I very prefer, you know, I go to ROM hacks to indie games instead of fan games because fan games, you know, have this issue and stuff. And yeah. But anyways, yeah. Yeah, the stage was very nice, although I didn't really like the whole dark gimmick. And yeah, but it was still enjoyable. I still enjoyed it. And yeah. And of course, he's weak to, you know, the ice weapon we have, Cryo Shard, I believe. And yeah. And with that said, we defeat him and we obtain Comet Splitter and stuff. Basically the Geminis are from Mega Man 3 and stuff, and yeah. And that was part 6. Now we move on to part 7. And we go once again out of weakness chain again, which is Arson Vulpin. I believe that's his name, Arson Vulpin, yeah. But yeah, I went to the stage because this music was amazing. I remember listening through this on the soundtrack before I play this. And yeah, that's why I went out of order. I just wanted to listen to this badass theme. But it was a bad idea because I got wrecked too many times. I died. And yeah, so don't do what I just did there. And yeah, pretty much. But we defeated him and stuff. Of course, we don't have his weakness and stuff. But yeah. But anyways, with that said, now that we defeated him, new special weapon we got from him is Flare Burst. And yeah. And pretty much, yeah. And that was part 7. Now we move on to part 8. And I thought this was a bear at first, but no, it's a raccoon. But yeah, the next Maverick we fight is Rail Raccoon and stuff. Yeah, here he is. He reminds me of Grizzly Slash a bit. And speaking of Grizzly Slash, Grizzly Slash Mega Man X5. How we meet again, shall we? And the boss fight being Gravity Circuit, more of Bid's boss fight. And yeah. And of course, he is weak to, of course, Flare Burst and stuff. And yeah. And with that said, we are done and stuff. And yeah. And the weapon we get from him is Jolt Seeker. Like Hornet Chaser from Mega Man 9 and stuff, but with electricity. And with part 8 done, finished, we move on to part 9 with the last Maverick. I'm just going to end it here. Now we move on to part 9. Final last Maverick, and unfortunately the worst Maverick in the game. It's the reason why I picked this guy last, and I went out of order, because this stage... Okay, look, the design, the idea of this Maverick is very nice, okay? I really like it. Hydro Axidal, we don't get an Axidal Maverick at all. But holy hell, man, this stage was just pure garbage. I'm sorry. So many damn unfair blind jumps everywhere, especially in this horrible section with this flashlight BS. And because since Mega Man, died, Mega Man X and Classic Zero all died from one-hit spikes, that is just not good level design. That is just straight up bad level design. There's a reason why water stages like Launch Octopus, Bubble Crab, Toxic Seahorse, Duff McWhalen, they didn't have this kind of like clumsy, like Spike Mario like level design. That kind of level design works for Mario because Mario can swim. It doesn't work for Mega Man, in my opinion. I'm sorry. But yeah, we make it to him and stuff, and honestly I can say just, fuck this guy. Well, the boss fight wasn't bad, it's just the stage I hated so much, but yeah. Overall, worst stage in the damn game, I'm sorry, just horrible. That kind of level belongs in a 2D Mario game, not in a Mega Man game, I'm sorry. But the weapon we get was Hydro Breaker, and it's Spider Balloon and stuff. Fine, but I was expecting a little bit more and stuff, like some Water Scream Lake or something. But yeah. Now, of course, that's part 9. Now, before I moved on and stuff to, of course, to the Sigma stages, this part 10 and stuff, this is where we basically backtrack. We got a lot of armors. I'm not going to explain through these armors and stuff because, again, it will just waste time. But it has the usual, the foot parts, the body parts, the chest parts, and the head parts, and the buster parts. And the buster charging all the weapons, like always, is back, like always in Mega Man X, so yeah. But yeah. Now we move on to part 11. That was part 10. Now it's time for part 11 to the final Sigma stages. And I'm just going to skip them, obviously, because holy hell, man, these were definitely challenging. Not like an accidental stage, but these were like a fair challenge and stuff along with the boss fight, so yeah. So these were mostly my fault having a skill issue. But we defeated the first Sigma stage boss fight. And after that, that was part 11. And now we move on to part 12. So the second Sigma stage and stuff. obviously being being inspired by Mega Man X1's boss rush, and yeah. And we defeated the second boss fight, that being, of course, this thing, and yeah. So yeah, pretty much. So that was part 12. Now we move on to part 13. And yeah, this is the final Sigma stage and stuff. And yeah. And we defeat Vile once again for the third time. Obviously, this boss fight was actually fun, but it was my fault that I died because I was getting a skill issue, and yeah. And with that said, yeah. So that was part 13. Oh yeah, the fact he was weak to Ice Whip is kind of ironic because Vile in X3 was weak to a Frost Shield, so yeah. And obviously, this is where I made my quick short video and stuff, and I said I gave it an 8 out of 10, and you'll understand why I did. Okay, here we go. Part 14, the final last part. Ready to end this, and I'm gonna just explain why I gave this game an 8 out of 10. This final fucking Sigma fight is hands down one of the worst Sigma fights I fight in a long time. I'm sorry. This first act was just bad because I had no clue what was going on. The iframes were not clear and visible. There was so many buggy happening here. And the second phase was just even fucking worse, man. This fucking hitbox right here is garbage. You have to hit him in such a tight, like, you just gotta be accurate with this shit. It took me just 1 to 2 hours just to get this piece of shit. And finally I did it. Fuck this boss fight so fucking much. I hated this. I'm sorry. Fuck you, Sigma. Just go die already, man. Nobody wants you anymore. We, Mega Man X, have saved the future, saved the world, time, and the universe. For freedom, love, and peace. A spark of hope. Hell yeah, spark of hope. I saved the world. And Mega Man X can now save. Also, this music is very happy, considering in the original Mega Man X, it was a more depressing and somber, and yeah. But yeah. Sigma's Tiny Monster Empire is over, and X, the Freedom Angel Warrior Justice Robot Badass Hero, saved the entire universe, and people can now live happily ever after. Reploids, humans, robots, animals, all the beings that, God gave us free will. Mega Man X has saved it. And yeah. And with that said, we are finally done with Mega Man X Regenesis. All I can say, an 8 out of 10 video game. The difficulty was just horrible, especially the Axeton's final Sigma fight. That really soured the experience. But it was an amazing fan game. I still enjoyed it. It was actually an awesome fan game. Gorgeous graphics, amazing music, a nice, well-crafted, simple story and lore that takes place in an alternate timeline, and of course, the fun gameplay and level design, but it didn't really utilize the moveset that much, and it was too crampy, too tight, but the weapons were amazing, I enjoyed them. But the level design, they should have went for more of like a gravity circuit approach, make the rooms a lot more bigger and complement the moveset. Overall, Mega Man X Regenesis was a great Mega Man X fan game I enjoyed and stuff, but honestly, I'm never going to return to this fan game ever again. I'm finally happy I'm done with it, though. I enjoyed my time with it. Thank you, Justin Ross, for your hard work. And I'm finally finished with Mega Man X Regenesis. Farewell, Mega Man X Regenesis, but I'm never, ever going to play you ever again. But farewell, Mega Man X Regenesis. Thank you. Won't play you ever again. Goodbye. Farewell, Mega Man X Regenesis. 8 out of 10. And finally, that's Mega Man X Regenesis. But yeah, that's overall my final send-off farewell review. Let's go ahead and close this out, and yeah. So overall, 8 out of 10 video game and stuff. I'm going to be making an update comment like always and stuff. And yeah, so yeah, Justin Ross, thanks for making this amazing game and stuff, but it's an 8 out of 10 and stuff, and I thought it was just too unfair. It didn't make good use of the moveset for Mega Man X very well, but the graphics, music, soundtrack, story and lore and gameplay and level design were still amazing, but the level design was kind of just basic, and I really wish it went for more momentum style like gravity circuit and stuff, and yeah. But anyways, guys, this is EC3 saying thank you guys for watching my review on Mega Man X Regenesis, an 8 out of 10 on my final score, so yeah. Farewell, Mega Man X Regenesis.